All right, we welcome you back to the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship second round pregame press conference from Austin, Texas in the Moody Center. And joining us now are two student athletes from the University of Texas, sophomore guards Brianna Preston and Jordan Lee. Ladies, thank you and congratulations on the win yesterday evening. Again, to ask you questions, just raise your hand, state your name and affiliation, and we will start in the front row with Danny Davis. Okay.
All right, Bree, Jordan, coming off last night's performance, how did you guys kind of evaluate your performance? You know, Vic seemed a little down in the post game, but given kind of 12 hours to react, what did you guys think of how you played?
I think little things are definitely important, and those are some of the things that we need to sharpen up kind of going forward. Specifically in tonight's matchup, we know they've got a prolific guard in number 2, Katie Fiso, so we're going to be focused on our ball screen defense and a couple other small things that we could have done better offensively, clean up our screens, etc. So, yeah, I would say those are our main two going into tomorrow's game.
I'd say definitely like punching first, playing with pace out the gate, especially against an experienced team like Oregon. We got to make sure we come out and make sure that they don't get the jump on us. I think that starts with our point guards, me and Rory, just kind of setting that tempo for our team, get us going.
Aaron Fentress with the Oregonian, and you mentioned Katie Fiso. I want to ask both of you, just what does she bring to the court that makes her, a challenge to defend that you anticipate, and what's some of her skills that you guys are looking to try and defend?
I mean, another great representation of what the sophomore class looks like, and she plays with pace, 3-level scorer, and commands her team at the one spot. So definitely all three of those things kind of come together and make her the player that she is, and just a focal part of their offense for sure.
Yeah, she's definitely hunting baskets, getting to her spots, nice heavy game. Teammates are, playing really well around her as well. So making sure that, Rory and I and Jordan as well kind of do our best to kind of shut her down.
Brett Taylor, KCN9 Sports, Eugene, Oregon. For both of you, you obviously understand that Oregon is a team that's found a lot of its success against ranked teams on the road. They've got 3 ranked wins all on the road at neutral sites. From what you've seen for the film, what makes this Oregon squad so dangerous, and how do you guys make sure you maybe put a stop to what makes them have success on the court?
I've had a chance to kind of watch 4 or 5 games of the Big Ten season so far, and I think Coach Graves just runs a great offensive system. They have, I think, 4 or 5 shooters that are shooting 33% or better in conference, and that makes it difficult to kind of get in help on pick and roll defense like we try to do. So we'll make sure our 5s are out hedging when they need to be, and on track, and also 35. We're familiar with their family, and she plays extremely hard and extremely well on both ends. So we'll just make sure we have attention to detail and knowing personnel on all 5 of the players that are on the court.
Yeah, she covered it.
Follow up? If you have a follow up,
No.
You're all squared away. All right, we'll go back to Danny Davis from the Austin American Statesman here.
Jordan, you've had a lot more responsibilities on the defensive end. What is the difference between being a freshman and playing defense for Vic, and then also just being a sophomore? And Bree, you can kind of answer that as well.
I think it's your attention to detail is definitely expected to be at a different level. You've kind of gotten out of the way the, freshman mistakes and some of the things that, not that you're allowed to get away with, but just mistakes that it's natural to make as a freshman. And so going into your sophomore year, now that you've been completely familiarized with a lot of the stuff that he does in his system and the things that he puts emphasis on, there's just more of a, I think, onus on that to pay attention to those things and make sure you're taking accountability for everything that you can do, whether it's off the ball or guarding the ball.
Definitely, I say, making sure I have ball pressure since I'm, guarding point guards every game, and setting that tempo, starting off with that. So I feel if I, apply ball pressure, going over screens, playing hard, because I know Coach Schaefer is kind of, he gets upset with me sometimes when I go under ball screens because we lose ball pressure, and that kind of, messes up our 5s when their 5s roll. So just make sure I'm going over screens, playing tough. I think that's been a difference this year in my freshman year because, I'm a little smaller, but I got bigger this year, so I can kind of get over them screens and help our 5s out.
Next question.
One of you mentioned number 35, which is Ahis, and I guess her sister is coming here. Has her sister given you guys any tips? Because Ahis said straight up that her sister said she's rooting for Texas. Sorry.
No, she hasn't given us any tips. We kind of
No scouting reports.
Nah.
Take her to
Nah,
her.
there's
Yeah, no
there's
tips.
family loyalty. I think even despite a house divided, but nah.
And my other question, actually, this is my real question. I figured you'd say that. But you guys earned the right to be here, obviously, and play at home. But what is Oregon up for tomorrow with the fan base, playing at home and the tournament environment? All your games, I'm sure, are rowdy, but the tournament sort of magnifies it. What's Oregon up against tomorrow?
I think that's just a special part about being in Austin. There's nothing like starting off March in front of your home crowd, and obviously we'll take pride in representing that tomorrow on our home court, but I'm sure they're excited to play in that atmosphere as well. We feel like we've developed a great culture and a fan base and an atmosphere that is fully supportive of our women's basketball program here, so we're just excited to take the floor.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we have a lot of energy to feed off of going into this game.
Before we take our next question here in Austin, a reminder for those that are joining us on Zoom, if you do have a question, this is a time to use the raised hand function, and you'll be called upon momentarily. Sir?
Aaron, you stole my question right there, but that's okay. Going on to my next one, Coach Graves has talked about one of his players, Mia Jacobs, being kind of the X factor for this team. And I think if you watched yesterday's game, you kind of saw how she made an impact, cuts her chin, finds a way to be able to come back in, just the grit and tenacity she brings. What makes her so difficult from what you've seen on film, and how much of a difference maker do you feel like you guys have to be able to make sure that you're aware of while she's on the court, considering the impact that she can make?
I think all of their players, including me, are extremely versatile, and that's something, you see a little bit of in the SEC and sometimes you don't. So I think, again, knowing personnel will be key, and, you always have to be aware of playing someone with that type of competitive spirit and toughness, especially in March. So we'll have emphasis on that, and, like I mentioned, personnel specifically for different players in film.
Yeah, everybody can bring the ball up the court 1 through 5,
Yep.
so, yeah.
Back to Danny Davis from the Austin American-Statesman.
Giving him a workout. Kind of not a basketball-related question, but we've heard from a lot of folks that you two are really into puzzles. I'm kind of wondering where that came from, what y'all like about puzzles. Is that something that you picked up at Texas or something y'all brought from home? Tell me about the puzzles.
Well, I feel ashamed to admit we probably haven't done one in about 6 months. We're really
we're down.
deep.
Yeah.
We're so deep into the season and just locked in, and there's not too much free time for some reason from freshman to sophomore year. But actually, Coach Conrad just gave me one. It's a nice 1,000-piece bird puzzle. So whenever we get the chance, we will do it. But it's just an opportunity, I feel like, for us to unwind, and we're together anyway. And so it's a very not as costly alternative to Legos and some other things that some of our teammates do. So that's just something we do quality time.
Yeah, that's basically. We started it in the dorms summer. We had no car, no nothing. We just had our scooters, so we would scooter 15 minutes around campus. Find out what's around and stuff. Come back inside, blast music, and start building puzzles. Yeah, it was a vibe though. Very relaxing, and plus, it was time for me and Jordan to really get to know each other. So.
Do you have a favorite puzzle you guys have built together?
Ooh, we love food.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've done a donut one I think we've done 3 donut ones, and then the hardest one was the flower one, I think. Or
yeah. Or
there
the
is one.
planets.
Yeah,
the planets.
the flowers or the planet one have been our most difficult. All 1,000 piece, we got into that level. So
Yeah, we up there.
Bree, as you kind of look ahead to your future, are you ready for, to be the starting point guard here at Texas next season? And Jordan, are you confident in Bree's ability to lead this team once Rory's no longer on the team?
Honestly, I definitely want to be present where my feet are. Super excited. I've got to learn so much under Rory. So just taking everything that she's, taught me and us being competitive every day in practice definitely gives me the confidence that I can lead us next year. So, yeah, what do you think, Jordan?
I'm excited to see it. You know, particularly as a friend, Bree is very distinct in that she's supportive all the time, and you can't put a value on someone that's like that for you in your life. And so, for her to kind of take that next step, I'm like ecstatic to see it. And I know from the smallest thing, whether it's a deflection, her first deflection, whatever, first start, like I'm gonna be thrilled to see it for sure. And yeah, like she said, she's more than ready. There's nothing like the competitive atmosphere that we have and maintain in practice, and so it'll be excited as she transitions to that role in her future for sure.
Do we have any other questions for Bree or Jordan? Seeing none, ladies, thank you for your time and everything that you shared with us today. We really enjoy it. Good luck tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be joined by Coach Vic Schaefer in a few minutes. Just another reminder that the locker room for Texas remains open until 1:55. 1:55. Folks, we're going to be joined momentarily by Texas head coach Vic Schaefer as we continue our NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship second round pregame press conferences from Austin, Texas, and the Moody Center. Again, just a reminder that the Texas locker room remains open for a few more moments, about 10 more minutes. Close at 1:55. And here is Coach Schaefer right now. Welcome back to the podium, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us again, Coach. You want to make an opening statement, or do you want to go right to questions?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling that you probably want to make an opening statement today.
Okay. Well, first, just appreciate everybody being here and excited about the opportunity. Again, really want to praise Missouri State and coach and her team and her staff. I thought they were really good, especially the second half. And you know, we watched film this morning. So much to take from there that we probably could have done a lot better. I think the thing that this time of year and especially for our team right now is, you know, the reason we've been able to play as well as we've played lately is because we've had an edge and really had an incredible competitive spirit. And I'm not sure we had that yesterday. And, you know, that's my job. That's my job as the coach to make sure we got that. And, you know, just I think we've got to find a way to make sure we've got that tomorrow. Oregon's really good, super talented, got kids that can make shots all over the floor, got a great inside player, and, of course, you know, Fiso just really makes them go. She's so special and smart, heady kid, and just makes all the right decisions. And that's what you want out of a great point guard, and Oregon certainly has that. So you know, you always like to have that inside player, and you always like to have that point guard, and they've got them both. You know, Etut is really special, really smart kid, heady, and so we're you know, today's going to be a real critical day for us in preparation, and we're going to have a great day of prep because they're really good. It's hard to believe they're 8-10 in the Big Ten, and of course when you look at their scores, and I think I figured it out last night, when you go through their losses, you know, their losses when you add them all up and divide by 10, it's they hadn't lost by very much over the course of the season. So we're gonna have to play really well, and this is a really good Oregon team, and got really good players. So excited about the opportunity. I think our kids are as well, and they know the task at hand.
Thank you, Coach. Before we go to questions here in Austin, a reminder for those joining us on Zoom, if you do have a question, please use the raised hand function, and you'll be called upon momentarily. Let's go to the back of the room first.
Aaron Fentress with the Oregonian. Coach, you mentioned Katie Fiso a second ago a little bit. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how difficult she could be to deal with? Because one of the things that seems very special about her is her ability to get wherever she wants to get to and shoot from anywhere in a variety of different ways, step backs, all sorts of different things. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what the challenges you guys face tomorrow?
Yeah, you know, if you were talking about a baseball player, you'd talk about a 5-tool player. You know, she's 5-tool. We usually talk about 3-tool in basketball, right? Can finish at all three levels. You know, she's just really special and can do so many things with the ball. You can tell she enjoys the assist as much as the bucket. She has great court vision. She's got a great change of pace to her game. So, you know, she creates a lot of problems, and you know, we're going to have to obviously do a great job handling her. To me, she's the engine. She's what makes them go, and so we'll have to do a great job with her. But you know, just like most teams at Oregon now, got a bunch of kids that can stand out there and beat you in a horse game now. They can beat you. You don't guard somebody, you get in rotation, and they're out there making those threes left and right. So we got to make sure that we're out there guarding them as well. And so that makes handling the ball, no matter who it is, you got to handle the ball one-on-one.
Brett Taylor, KZI9 Sports. You talked about having to make sure that this team for you guys tomorrow, that you guys have your edge at the start of the game. How important is that going to be, considering how fast Oregon likes to move, especially out of the gates. I mean, we saw yesterday how winded they were just because of how hard they were working in that first quarter. How important is it going to be for you guys to match that energy right out the gates?
Yeah, I think our team throughout the course of the year has done that. I think you go back to the SEC tournament, we jumped out of the gate pretty good. Yesterday, we just, we just had some rust. I had a lot of text messages, and I bet I put in every one of them lots of rust tonight. So we had some rust, and hopefully we get that knocked off last night and today. But we were kind of, we didn't quite play with that sense of urgency that we've had, in our last 8 games. And again, that's my job. I've got to make sure our kids are ready to go, and that we're ready to go from the tip.
Danny Davis, Austin American Statesman. Don't want Barb to get upset with me. Vic, I assume that partially tomorrow some of the Katie responsibilities will go to Jordan, and I'm kind of wondering, what is the difference between her being a sophomore and the way she's been asked to defend and being in your system for another year, and this kind of applies to Bree as well, as to when they were freshmen and just trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I think it's just what you said. It's a year older, year wiser, and I think it's a confidence too. And Jordan really plays with a lot of confidence, and rightfully so. And I think Bree's right there with her. I mean, it's so hard, and it's so unfair when you're a freshman to have all these expectations heaped on you that you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, and you've got all these people in social media that say you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, why aren't you playing this much, what's wrong, how come? It's just so unfair. And, I think those two kids, I think the thing that impressed me most about them when they were freshmen, they were working while they were waiting. And they didn't let all that other stuff, influence them or their line of thinking, and neither did their parents. Jordan was a top 10 recruit. But I think what Jordan did is she got better throughout the course of her freshman year. And it all culminated in that Final Four game, right? She played really well, played with a lot of confidence, made shots, and it's just carried over into this year. And I give both those kids a lot of credit, as well as their parents, because again, in today's world, these are kids. They're 18 years old. You have people putting a value on them with a dollar sign. I'd be damned if I was a parent, I was going to let somebody put the value of my kid in anywhere with a dollar sign. Like, that don't work for me. This is supposed to be college. They're supposed to be figuring out life, figuring out how to make an A in chemistry, figuring out this level and how hard it is. And so with those two especially, those two really, have embraced the process. Their families have embraced the process of, hey, man, my kid's competing. She's learning how to be a college kid. She's learning how to play at this level. She's working while she waits. And so it's just, I think that's why they're where they are right now. Jordan's playing at a level with the confidence that she has because of the process. So many times nobody wants to go through the process. They just want it now. They want it given to them. They just, and this is our world. And not only on top of that, y'all, you got people making decisions on their value that aren't even parents. I mean, make it make sense. So for me, I'm just, I'm proud of those two in particular. Justice was another top 10 kid coming out of high school, but was coming off that injury. And all those kids as sophomores now have made as you know, big impacts in our program this year. And so that's the process. That's part of being young and growing into your role on a team. This is a team. And I just I really have a lot of admiration for them for being able to accept that.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go to the gentleman in the back, please.
Yeah, Alec Dietz, Eugene Register Guard. I know it's been a while, but you kind of have a coaching history against Kaylee Graves, coach teams, I think, at your last stop. What do you, I guess, remember about maybe those matchups? I know it's been a while. And what are kind of the hallmarks of a Kelly Graves coach team?
Yeah, I think, probably the biggest, I don't know if disappointment's the word, but, being sent out to out west with the best team I've ever had. That Elite Eight team that got sent out there as the number 1 seed to play the Oregon as the 2 seed, that's the best team I've had. It's not the 2 teams before that played for the national championship. That 33-3 team was special. But part of the NCAA tournament, and my media has heard me say this before, you got to get hot and you got to have a little luck. We were unlucky. We had to go out there and play in front of 13,000 Ducks and play his best team ever and got beat 88-84. You can count on one finger how many games I've lost when my teams have scored 84 points. And it was that night. And Ionescu was so special, but he had a whole team full of special players. And but again, we've played in other games too, and we've had some really well played games by both of our teams. So always know that they've got really a lot of good players and a lot of good players that can make shots. Great players and great players that can make shots, and you can't leave them open, because they'll absolutely hurt you. So, it's a system that has worked a long time for him, and again, we're going to have to play really well tomorrow.
Brett Taylor again. You talked earlier in your opening statement about she's a forward that's not the biggest forward, obviously, in the country. I think she's only 6'1", and yet she finds so much success down low against people that are 3, 4, 5 inches taller than her. How, from what you've seen on film, how does she do it, and how do you maybe adjust and attack that, knowing that she finds the way to find the crease and get a bucket even when she's double teamed by people that are taller than her?
Yeah, well, it's hard to double team her when you got all those shooters on the perimeter. And I just think the kid is really crafty. I think that's the word I like to use when you see somebody like her. She's really crafty, smart, heady. She's real patient. And so you really, again, it's why she's as good as she is, and she's really good. And smart look, I've got film right here of her she's bringing it 94 feet coast to coast, so she's got handles, but again, another just smart, heady kid, but crafty, that's kind of probably the biggest compliment I can give somebody. Her and Fiso they're just crafty kids. That encompasses it all. They're smart, heady, they see the floor, they read and feel defenses, and I think both those kids can really feel a defense and then attack it where it's weak.
We have time for a few more questions for Coach, and so we'll start with Jim Fortuno of the Associated Press. Jim?
Yep. Vic, you mentioned special players you've had. This is Rory's last home game, and I realize we're up against some time constraints, but maybe if you could just summarize what she has meant to your team over the last few years. I mean, through it all. I mean, the rise of the resurgence of the program, the injury, the leadership. What does she mean?
Yeah, I think first of all, she moved into the top 10, yesterday in all-time assists in our game. But she's the only player in the history of our game with points. I can't even remember them, Jeremy, but it's 1,500 points, I think. um, 900 assists. Yeah, 350 steals. How many rebounds? 600 rebounds. I mean, and it's counting, right? No other player in the history of our game has those numbers. I mean, think about that, Jim. So, but for me, being around her every day for 5 years, I mean, she's like my own daughter. I've seen her as much as I've seen my own daughter. And, you know, she's been a part of me for almost as long as I've been here, you know? And so it's, you know, you get comfortable. And the thing that I think you can say about Rory is she's been really reliable. Night in and night out, I knew what I was going to get. An incredible competitor, tough as nails, was always going to give me her best defensively. Um, you know, knew the game plan, was going to run our team, was going to really compete. Man, what a player. You know, what a great kid, though. And I'm going to tell you, her parents, they get all the credit. You talk about two of the most wonderful people in the world, supportive. I can go on and probably get pretty emotional because Rory's she's meant a lot to my career. I've learned a lot coaching her. I'm a better coach. I'm a better father. I'm a better husband because of Rory Harmon. And, you know, I hope we're not done tomorrow. You know, we'll be done here for sure. But, man, she's just been really everything to our program. You know, that first recruiting class, I've said this a lot. I spent a lot of Mississippi State money flying from Starkville, Mississippi on the school plane to Houston, Texas, recruiting her. And then when I left there to come here, you know, I was just hoping, man, we've gone from 10 and a half hours to 2.5 hours from home. Maybe we can get her. And so it's really been special for me.
We have anything else for Coach Schaefer right now? All right, Coach, really appreciate your time again today.
Thank y'all again
Best
for
of
your
luck
coverage.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Have a good day.
You as well. All right, that will conclude our time with Texas today for the press conference. We'll be joined by the players from the University of Oregon in a few minutes. We just have a few announcements before we begin the second portion of our NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship second round pregame press conferences from Austin, Texas in the Moody Center. Shortly, we're going to be joined by the University of Oregon student athletes and head coach Kelly Graves for their portion of the press conference. Oregon, number 8 seed, advanced to the second round with a 70-60 victory over Virginia Tech yesterday. They'll carry a 23-12 record into the second round game, where they'll face number 1 seed Texas tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central here at the Moody Center. The format of this press conference will be hearing from the student athletes first, and after they're dismissed, we'll bring Oregon head coach Kelly Graves to the podium. Joining us in a few moments, representing the Oregon players, are sophomore guard Katie Thiso, junior guard Ari Long, and senior forward Mia Jacobs. Well, as I mentioned, we'll have the press conference start in about 2 minutes. And for those of you joining us virtually on Zoom, please check your settings to be sure that you're identified by name and affiliation. You'll be only called upon if you are properly identified. If you do wish to ask a question online, please use the raised hand function. And the Oregon locker room will have media availability and open access from 2:15 to 2:45. So they'll be opening as soon as the student athletes hit the podium here. 2:15 to 2:45 will be your time to visit with the folks in the Oregon locker room down the hall. If you are here as a member of the media as a videographer, please be reminded that the only live video from a press conference can be done by a member of the official traveling party of the team. All other media members are asked to use the feed function located in the back of the room. We'll expect the Oregon players to join us very shortly. Thank you. Oregon players, student athletes are on their way to the podium. Again, a reminder that Oregon will be represented by sophomore guard Katie Thiso, junior guard Ari Long, and senior forward Mia Jacobs. Ladies, welcome. Congratulations again for last night's victory. Thank you. All right, we will begin with questions from the media here in Austin. Sir?
Brett Taylor, KZI9 Sports. You guys have 3 ranked wins on the road or at neutral sites, 2 against Maryland, 1 against USC. What's allowed you guys to kind of find the best in your guys' game in those meetings on the road, and how do you maybe kind of internalize that in tomorrow's game against Texas?
I think we do a really good job at staying together, and no matter where we are, it's the people on the court and the girls, like it's the team that stays consistent, so that also is a really good contributor to that.
Yeah, I mean, like she said, sticking together, being one unit, you know, there's a lot of outside noise, there's a lot of refs that might not be on our side that game, so getting downhill, getting to the foul line, controlling what we can control, so.
Anything to add?
No, I think they got it.
They got it. Okay. All right. Your next follow-up question,
yeah,
please.
for Katie and Ari, obviously both of you were on this team last year when you guys had to take on Duke in the round of 32. So you've had the experience of what it's like facing a top-ranked team in the country in an environment like this in the March Madness tournament. What do you guys kind of remember from that game and the crowd and the atmosphere, and what were some of the lessons you learned that you feel like you've shared with teammates like me and others that weren't here to make sure everybody understands what they're about to experience tomorrow when tip-off gets underway here at Moody Center?
Yeah, I think just, you know, being ready to play as hard as we can. Obviously, it's going to be a tough game, and just trying to control what we can control, like they said earlier. Last year, I think, getting a taste of it was cool. Just kind of know a little bit more what to prepare for and what to prepare for, really.
Anyone else for that, to answer that question? No? No. All right. Okay. All right, we will move along then. Our next question over here, sir.
Yeah, Rob Mosley with Oregon. Just maybe Katie, maybe you could start this one out. How similar or not is this matchup to the other day? I mean, does anything carry over? Just what are the biggest things that stand out as you start to look ahead to Texas? And is there anything you can take from yesterday's effort, or do you have to kind of flush that completely?
It's obviously good to feel good win. That gives you a little boost of confidence. But it's a new day, a new opponent. Just keying in on what we need to get better at, and focusing on ourselves and how we can be a better team come Sunday. So, yeah.
Danielle Lerner, USA Today. For anyone who wants to answer, so many players have stepped into different roles for you guys this season, who were either here last season or are just joining the program. Was there anything that you guys did as a group or individually to kind of help everybody gel in those new roles and kind of learn each other a little bit more?
I know it was key for us, during spring and then coming summer when everybody was coming around. We would always just play with each other. We would always go up and down 5-on-5. Whether that was we would smack talking each other, uplifting each other, helping each other up and stuff like that. I think that's what really started to create that chemistry on the court, and then just kind of kicking it with each other off the court a little bit. Started to build that chemistry on the court. So.
I think encouragement too. We have a lot of players who have stepped into bigger roles, and so just knowing that we got their back and they have our back, and just playing with that confidence.
You guys have obviously had to take a crash course in trying to understand what this Texas team is all about, just in a span of 24 hours. What have you guys seen in any film that you've watched so far, and what makes them so difficult, or maybe one of the most difficult opponents you guys may face from what you've seen this season?
Yeah, they're a great team. Obviously, they don't get a 1 seed without proving it. So we know that, and we're going to bring our best foot forward. But they're a great defensive team, but they do have holes. They're not perfect, and our game plan is going to be really good. And if we execute, it's going to be a really good game.
Thanks. Katie or Mia, want to add to that? I'm sorry. You just want to add to that? No?
Oh. Yeah, they hang their hats on their defense. And
Ari? Yeah, no. Go
ahead. Shoot, what was I saying? Yeah, they hang their hats on their defense and their pressure defense, especially right off of their bucket. They're not even thinking about celebrating or anything like that. So they're gonna be getting into you, but just being strong, confident in the work that we put in. We're a great team. We learned a lot over the course of this season, through the highs and the lows. So hopefully that can carry over to the Sunday game.
To that point, Ari, just what's your comfort level at this point in the year, helping maybe ease the pressure on Katie as the ball handler to try to break some of that pressure and deal with some of that pressure they're going to presumably try to put on you tomorrow?
Yeah, I think I'm ready for it. I feel like Katie takes a lot of the load most of the time, but I try to help whenever I can. And then obviously we have AT too, who comes in and helps kind of handle the rock a little bit. But yeah, I think definitely comfortable, and then just getting across, get it back to her, get into our sets, and then go to work from there.
I'm looking around. Do we have any other questions for these three players? Yeah, Jim Vertuno from the Associated Press, and then we'll go back to this side of the room as well. Go ahead, Jim.
Katie, I was wondering if you could just talk about what Texas can throw at you from the perimeter. You've got a player like 5'6" Harmon who can be so disruptive. Jordan Lee's got a lot of size. There's just a lot of speed and physicality out there. How do you handle that?
Just trusting the work that I put in and the confidence that my team has in me. That helps me a lot. I know, like I always said, when we have each other's back, anything can happen. Just having that belief in yourself that, hey, we put the work in, we did all this stuff. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. We played in the Big Ten. Like I said, the Big Ten is one of the best conferences in the country. So we've seen that type of pressure with Ohio State when we played Ohio State. So it's not anything necessarily new, but it's just a new team, a new environment. So it's just about going out there and doing it. So.
Mia, the contributions from the forward group yesterday, across the board, obviously hugely helpful. Just how different is the matchup for the bigs tomorrow, and what will it take to try to have a similar impact on that game?
Yeah, it's great that we have so many different bigs coming in. So I think we played all 5 last night. It was great. And because we're all so different, each game is going to be different as well. So we have different contributors each night, and sometimes one big is better than the other just because of matchups and things like that. But it's going to be tough, but I think we can match their physicality, and we can kind of move around, and we're definitely more mobile than they are. So them trying to guard us is also going to be a problem. So I'm excited to see that, and I think we have a good game plan.
If I could just follow up, you've watched Ahis now all year, practiced with her, against her, played with her in games. Just how is she so effective when she's usually given up size to still produce the way she does?
Yeah, I think she stays like really low and balanced, which is great. I think she gives us a big target to pass to, and I think her confidence has grown so much from the start of the year. I think everyone backs her, and she can feel that confidence from everyone else, and she's able to do what she does, and we all support her through that too.
Katie, you talked a lot about this season, how you always try to make sure you're having fun on the court, and I feel like that really epitomizes with this whole group. But when you're in a situation like this where the pressure and everything kind of becomes a little bit more intense, how do you still find that fun on the court when, you understand that if you lose, your season's on the line, but obviously if you win, you guys keep on dancing through it? How do you kind of keep that fun always at the forefront?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things in this game of basketball. There's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows, there's a lot of added pressure, but at the end of the day, it's just basketball, and it's just the ball going in the hoop, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Just a matter of that day, but trying to find that joy consistently, no matter what the outcome is, no matter who we're playing. I could lose 100 games, and I'll still choose to love this game. I can win 100 games. Like, it's my love for the game is never gonna go. I don't put my joy in something that's inconsistent. Like, I love this game, no matter the highs and the lows. Like, it's still gonna always be there. So.
We have time for a few more questions, if there are any here with our media in Austin. I don't see any questions for those that are joining us online. So, seeing none, ladies, want to thank you for your time today. Best of luck tomorrow in your game against Texas. Thank you very much. We'll be joined in a few moments by Oregon head coach Kelly Graves. Once again, a reminder that the Oregon locker room remains open for media until 2:40. Time today, and congratulations on the win last night. And we'll start with questions here in Austin. And again, a reminder, if you are joining us online via Zoom, if you do wish to ask a question to Coach Graves, just use the raised hand function, and I'll call on you momentarily. Right now, we're going to start here in Austin. First question from Danielle. Danielle, just identify yourself and affiliation, please.
Danielle Lerner, USA Today. What's your kind of motivational style and approach in these kind of March Madness winner-go-home games, and does that change year to year or based on whether you guys are the higher seed or the lower seed?
Yeah, I think if you're around our program and me as a coach over the years, I try to keep them as loose as possible. I mean, sometimes the pressure can be too big in these kind of moments, and so I think as a coach, they're going to go off the tone that I set. And so, yeah, I think we just try to keep it loose and act in some ways. I mean, they understand that this is big, but we try to make it as normal as possible. As far as the seeding goes, sure, we've been higher. I've been higher seeds and lower seeds. I think in this particular instance, we really have nothing to lose, and so I think we can go out and play loose, and I think that might help us. So it kind of differs a little bit, I guess, but we're always loose, to be honest with you. That's kind of been our MO.
Just a follow up to that, if I may, like who are the players who are kind of encouraging and fostering that atmosphere in the locker room generally?
Well, it starts with our stars. Obviously, Ahis. If you knew Ahis, I don't know if she has a serious bone in her body. She wasn't here on the podium, or you would have seen that. And then Katie, same thing. I mean, she's wired a little differently than Ahis, but she's still loose. I mean, she's so grounded in her faith that she truly believes there's nothing that she can't handle in life. And and the rest of them, same thing. They're just, if you were out there in the hall, you would hear, they're in there playing games and having fun, and that's kind of who they are. Really close group.
Rob Mosley with Oregon. Your forward group was productive across the board yesterday. Just how different a matchup for the bigs is it tomorrow, and what does it take for them to be as impactful?
Well, that's our biggest concern. I would say, it starts with transition, and our transition will, that starts taking care of the ball and taking good shots. The second concern is, points in the paint, offensive rebounds. They're going to be significantly bigger than us across the board. And so, it's just, it's going to be one of those things where you try to neutralize their best rebounders, their inside kids, and then the guards are going to have to do a great job of picking up the scraps. But that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think, tomorrow, is how we can handle the boards.
Next question will come from Danny Davis, Austin American-Statesman. Danny?
Hey, Kelly. What do you remember about that 2019 game against Vic and Mississippi State in the Elite Eight?
Honestly, one of the greatest games I've ever been a part of, and I think the most well-played game I've ever been a part of. Both teams. I think it was 88-84. Obviously big stage, winner to the Final Four. I think we combined for like 8 or 9 turnovers. I think both teams shot over 50% from the field. It was just a great basketball game. Went back and forth. And we were fortunate enough to get the win, but that was a long time ago. I had a whole different team, and he's at a different school. But we've had some good battles together over the years. This first time I played him here at Texas, but Mississippi State, I think we played 3 or 4 times against each other. Great coach. Somebody I look up to, I admire. What he's done here has been, incredible, really. And his team is well coached. I mean, every game you look at where are they weak? What can we exploit? Well, they have size, they have depth, they have quickness. Now, they're not the best shooting team in the country, but they are a great mid-range shooting team, and they score around the rim. They're great in the paint. They rebound well. They're obviously tenacious defensively. There are not a lot of weaknesses on that team, and they've got a bunch of different players that, can have big nights. They've got All-Americans. They've been in this moment before. This isn't new to them. They're playing at home. That helps. So they really have all the advantages. And so what we have to do is go out with really nothing to lose and try to do the best we can. And I believe in my team, and I think they believe in themselves. So hopefully we'll see that confident team out there tomorrow.
To the point of dealing with their pressure, taking care of the ball, how much of that is on Katie? What are your thoughts on Ari, AT, their ability to maybe help take some of that load off her shoulders?
Yeah, well, Katie can't play 40 minutes against that kind of pressure and against elite defenders like they have, starting with Rory. But, so it's going to be everybody. Everybody's going to have to, help. And sometimes we use even Ahis as our secondary ball handler, as our center. So it's just all hands on deck tomorrow. No question about it. By the way, going back, we had an ESPN game against Mississippi State one time, Vic, at our place. It was ESPN. Holly Rowe was there, and I got a technical. He got a technical, too. It was a hell of a game. But that was where I told the official, listen, they just flop when they drive, and then I did this like, you bet You bet. You took the bait. And I got tea for that. And that was the first question Holly asked me out of the halftime was about that. So, but Vic, he evened it out later in the game and got one himself. So
I was going to ask what Vic did to get his technical. But, when you spoke about their mid-range game, when you look at Madison specifically, what makes her, defending that mid-range game of hers so difficult?
Well, they're aggressive, all of them, but she in particular, she's fun to watch. Now, when you're preparing to play against her, she's not that much fun, but she really is fun to watch what she does on the court. She's just a jack of all trades, and obviously at any moment can take over the game. I think in her development, she's going to have to, be more consistent from the perimeter. But you're looking at a future WNBA All-Star, in my opinion. Everything, she can do everything. And she's quick with it. I mean, she can get up quick and on anybody, and she can create space for herself. So that's going to be a challenge. Not exactly sure how we're going to stop her, but we're going to do our best to neutralize her for sure. I don't think you can stop her. Yeah. Oh, dang it. Thought I was going to get out.
No,
Sorry,
not yet.
Coach. I just walked in. I apologize. I just want to you've obviously had a little bit of a relationship or a connection with Texas's head coach, obviously, over the years. What's that kind of been like, the battles over the year? I'm even thinking back to Mississippi State, several years ago, and what do you maybe take from a moment like that, if there's anything to take a moment from like that heading into this Sunday? Yeah,
well, that was a long time ago, so not really much, but I admire him because we're in the same generation, and that's, I think, pretty cool. A couple older guys, I won't say old, but older guys that are competing at this level, and I just enjoy him. He really coaches with a passion, and his players play the same way. They feed off their coach in that regard, and and he's obviously been successful at every stop. I love that he anchors what he does in defense. I mean, he's a great defensive coach first and foremost. And this kids just play free. You can tell they like to play, they have fun together, and they really compete. And that comes from him, his personality.
We'll go back to a question from Jim Vertuno from the Associated Press. Jim?
Coach, you mentioned a few minutes ago just the difficulty of dealing with Rory Harmon. I mean, her career stat line stands alone for just everything she's able to do on the court. Describe for us the difficulty of playing against a player like that and what she brings to them.
Well, first and foremost, I am a fan of Rory. I love how she plays. She's so passionate, and you can't help but, love her, really. Again, when you're trying to prepare for him, it's a little bit scary, but she, Booker's a great player. Jordan Lee's a great player. Oldicker, Brea inside, Carlton, they've got a lot of really good players, obviously. She's the one that makes them go, and I think they are who they are because of her in large fashion. You're always on attack with her at both ends of the floor. For 94 feet, you're on attack. She's either in your shorts defensively or she's looking to attack and create for others. So, I a huge admirer and, big fan. Tomorrow I won't be, all right? But yeah, fun to watch. And I've gotten to know her a little bit too, through the years. She's an equally impressive person as she is a player.
Looking around the room, do we have any other questions for Coach Graves?
No.
Seeing none, Coach, again, thank you for your time here today, and best of luck tomorrow against Texas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, you guys, be good out there now.
All right, folks, just a reminder that the Oregon locker room does remain open for media availability until 2:45, so you've got a few minutes before that closes. This will conclude our press conferences for the